Hello, it's the Mils and Kez
I was
show.
waiting for you to
Yeah,
branch into song.
I know. Come on.
Episode one, two, three, four, five. Is that right?
Five, yeah. We're up to
Episode
number five.
five.
Time
Two
flies.
coaches, unscripted, unrehearsed. You get us very raw,
Yep.
very off the cuff, right? Like just
Very,
bleh.
very, very just whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hello, look out. Speaking of whatever happens, happens, there's a situation about to happen right now.
Mumsy. It's the Millsy and Keza show. Yay.
Thanks, Ashy.
Guest spot appearance.
Wow, awesome. Thank you.
That was lovely. Excellent. Yeah, so as you can see, anything happens. And he was
Anything and
wearing pants.
everything.
He's wearing pants. It's a win.
Yeah.
Wearing pants. We're good.
So right
Excellent.
before we hit record, Kerri and
Mm.
I we just jumped on. We started our little, hey, how you doing? What's happening? And then we just started into this conversation. We're like,
Yeah,
we need to record this. This is
yeah.
what the show is.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly
So
what it is.
we're
Because
recording. What
yeah.
were we saying?
So we were talking about I'm in Melbourne and yesterday we had like hellish rain. Like it was pouring. I was going to go up the hill to meet a friend for lunch and Ashton wanted to come with me and I thought, well, look, we'll get McDonald's for him first before like just in case we go to lunch with a place that doesn't have chips. So I went to McDonald's and the heavens open like that sort of rain where you can't see like very far in front of
Cats and
you.
dogs kind of rain.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so, yeah, so anyway, long story short, she came down, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, hellish rain yesterday. So today we've got all of these little termitey, buggy things flying around the house because it's hot today too. Like it's like 30 degrees, humid. And yeah, we've got all these little bugs. And so, of course, hubby is like, oh my God, look, we've got termites, man. Like, we've got termites. Like, I'm sure he's expecting the house to fall down around our ears. And like, this happens like, we've been up in the hills for like since 2015. So what's that? Nearly 10 years. And it's like this happens every year. We get like all these bugs and then they die within a few days and you just spray them, whatever. But like he's hitting the panic button. And it's like, will you just calm down? So I did like a little Facebook shout out in one of the local groups. And all of the ladies are like, yep, we've got them too. Yep, been squashing them all morning. Da, 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 da. So yeah, it's very interesting where what men panic about and what women panic about and through the lens of masculinity and the lens of the feminine. So like it's very well because we're also having a bit more of a conversation earlier in the weekend as well about what find important to fix and what women find important to fix. And so it's interesting how like if it's anything to do with the house or the home or material possessions or anything that houses the family, like because it all comes back to protection and needing to keep everyone safe. If it comes down to that, men, that's their filter. Like if it's getting filtered through that, which a lot of it is because that's what men are here for. They're here to pretty much serve and protect,
Right.
change light
Right.
bulbs and lift heavy things. And a few other bits and pieces. But yeah, I just thought, isn't it interesting? Like as soon as it's anything to do with the house, he's like panic, 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 packing and yeah, or anything to do with like transport or the car or anything. It's like that's their
Right.
that they filter things through is
Yeah.
what is important. Whereas I'm just like, oh, it'll be all right. They came here in a day, they'll be gone in a day, like whatever. But he's was really like he tension tags a lot when he's like in a heightened state. He's like when he panics. So yeah, he does
Yeah.
that, and you're saying your hubby does the same as
Yeah.
well.
So, well, my hubby, bless him, he tends to I'm sure there's a word for it, but I don't know what it is, but go to worst case scenario straight
Mm,
away. Like, oh,
catastrophizes.
yeah, I think that's it.
Mm,
So, and I was just saying before, so if this is we've been given the news, he'll go boom straight to here. Whereas
F9.
whereas I would my head's go brrr, and I'm running through all the scenarios and I'm ruling out most of them as I go. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
pretty quick process. So in about 3 seconds, I'll probably be doing this going, it's
Mm,
probably such and such. Because in
mm,
my head, I've already ruled out, well, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, it could be this, it could be that.
mm-hmm.
Is it this? Is it that? And I've already, within 3 seconds, decided what I think is reasonable what I think is most
Most likely.
probable,
Mm.
and I don't generally doom and gloom it. I'm probably somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And what will be, because I'm also very conscious, and this is one of those law of attraction things about if I go straight to there, what am I bringing into my world that wasn't there before, but I've planted the seed, so therefore I'm going to see it. You know where I'm going with that? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I don't do that.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You kind of think once you start, like for anyone who is getting into law of attraction sort of stuff and starting to go down that rabbit hole, it's interesting because they'll say, if you think a thought, you're going to start attracting it. Yes. But it actually, you can get away with thinking negative thoughts as long as you don't make them into an emotional thing where you're feeling it in your body.
Yes.
You can have racing thoughts, but if you start to get that sinking feeling in your stomach, that means that your hormones have kicked in and it's turned into an emotion, and that is what the universe goes, oh, emotion.
Yes.
What's that? Whoa, and it will run to you to give you more of that. So you can think like worst case scenario, but as long as you don't carry it on into an emotion,
turn it into your emotional state.
Yes.
So you can be, so we have, what is it? I don't know. Different people say different things. We have, say, 60,000 thoughts a day or something along those lines.
Something crazy like that.
The majority of them are in the negative, because I was at a workshop this weekend and apparently we're 17 times more likely to go to the negative rather than the positive. However, there's witnessing your thoughts and then letting them go, or there's really drawing it in and making it a part of your biology.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a big difference between being witness, and this is what happens a lot in meditation, because have you ever been meditating when the shopping list pops into your head, or the play date that I need to bring a food, something just drops in, because it's really, really hard to stop thinking. We are not designed to not think.
Yeah. Well, it's the brain's job to think, and for us to tell it to stop doing that job, it's going to be like, what?
Super hard.
Yeah.
So learning how to witness it and then say goodbye to it, like, okay, shopping list, I see you, I'll deal with you later, or okay, worst case scenario, I'm aware of you, but I'm not going to bring you into my reality.
Yeah.
It is a skill to be practiced.
It is, yeah. It's definitely, as you say, it's a muscle that needs to be worked on. And it's very difficult at the beginning to just have a thought, let it drop in and then go. But if you work that muscle, it does get easier. And just like your brain's not meant to be completely blank. Like it's not its job to stop thinking. So because that was the big thing with me when I started, starting to meditate. It was like, well, I can't do it because I can't stop myself from thinking. And so you just think, oh, it's another thing I'm failing at. But it's not the case. Like your brain's meant to think and your body's meant to move as well. So that's why when you first start meditating, you're going to get a lot of resistance from your body, because we're usually in such a hyped up state. Like we usually all go, do.
Yes.
And for us to stop that, our nervous system's like not used to it, and it's like, huh? What are you doing? And so when you're meditating, you're sitting still, you're going to want to be doing things. So your body's going to be like, come on, we're meant to be doing something. We're meant to be productive. We don't want to be seen as lazy, and all the things. And your brain's going, yeah, but you got this to do, and you got this to do, and you got this to do. So to practice being still and quiet. It's hard, but it does get easier as you practice it more. So don't think you're failing. If you're starting meditation and doing all the things, you're not failing.
It's like if you go to the gym, you're not going to be able to lift 50 kilos without starting at 2 kilos and working your way up to it.
Exactly.
There we go. And side note, I read, I don't know where these things come from, but it's all the jumble that's our brains.
Yeah.
That yoga was invented
Mm-hmm.
for from the yogis, is that
Mm-hmm.
the people that
Yeah.
meditate?
Yeah.
Because they sit in one position for 8 hours. So the yoga of the stretching and the this and the that was done,
Mm-hmm.
it was invented to be able to let your body sit in rest for 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
without cramping and getting those muscles ready to sit. Because you know how, I don't know about you, I get a backache if I sit for too long without moving,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and my coccyx starts aching and all these things. So that's, I don't know, have you heard that yoga was invented
No, no, I haven't.
to
But like,
allow the monks or whoever, the yogis,
Mhm.
to meditate without their body letting them down?
Oh, there you go. Yep. No, I don't doubt that for a
Yeah,
nanosecond. I believe that
I don't
that
know. You can't believe everything you see and read, though. So if anyone knows better, let me know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I love this
Would love
stuff.
to
I
hear.
love hearing. Yeah.
Mm. Now, Milsey, you went to a meditation weekend this weekend. How was that?
Yes. Amazing. Amazing. So I think so it was all day Saturday and a half day Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like we're going to sit in meditation the whole time. It wasn't about that. It was the science behind it and the science of why it is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So having scientific backup, I love that stuff. That's
Yeah.
why I think maybe the Boss program made so much sense to me,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it's the scientifics,
Yeah.
scientifics
Yeah.
behind the reasons why we do things.
Yes, and you're a line one in your profile line as well. So you're a 5-1 profile. The line one is the researcher. So you love
Yes,
facts. You find safety in that grounded knowledge. Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Mm.
yes. So it was very much about when we think a thought,
Mm-hmm.
it creates a chemical, and the
Mm-hmm.
chemical goes into our body, and every single cell in our body has a receptor, and the
Mm-hmm.
receptors of our cells take that message, and then um, it reacts accordingly according to the message that your thoughts. So your thoughts create your feelings and your emotions. So the emotions you feel are from the thoughts that you think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He spent about 5 hours explaining it in a very amazing way that was full of facts, um,
Mm-hmm.
the clinical studies, and but it was very easy to understand. But that
Yep.
was it in a nutshell. So and all of our chakras have the frequencies, and
Mm-hmm.
about how love, etc., is a high frequency, the
Mm-hmm.
fear, the anger, etc., are low frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
and every single cell in our body is a frequency, and whichever frequency you are, I guess,
Vibrating out.
vibrating at is how we manifest illness in our body,
Mm-hmm.
because all of the autoimmune diseases, there's no gene for that. It's all
Mm-hmm.
manifested
Isn't that interesting?
in a very subconscious way. So
Mm.
I'm still working through, because I have a number of autoimmune diseases myself, which I'm working through, and all these little light bulbs are popping off, and it's like, I know where I need to do some more shadow work.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
really stepping into sort of Joe Dispenza kind of
Yes,
territory
very
here.
much. He did mention Dr. Joe was a mate of this guy. Ray Behan was his name. So Dr. Joe
Okay.
is a friend of his, and they've collaborated on stuff before, and
Mhm.
very much that sort of stuff. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Joe Dispenza, his latest book that he's released is How to Become Supernatural.
Mhm.
And the first chapter of that book was all about this lady who I think she had a couple of young children, and her husband committed suicide. And so then she spiraled into this deep depression, and then she ended up getting cancer, and then she ended up getting all of this esophageal ulceration type stuff, and couldn't eat, and was bedridden, and all of this sort of stuff cascaded after this big bout of depression after her husband passed. And then the rest of it is how she hit rock bottom. She went to one of Joe Dispenza's like 2-week workshop meditation things. And from there on in, it took her 2 years, but she said, if my thoughts have made me sick, then my thoughts can make me better again.
Yes.
And she
Spot
just
on.
concentrated on what this is. What is it? Second time that number's tried to call me. I'm just going to ignore it. Yeah, so it's really interesting. I'm just wondering what sort of time and energy investment it would take to heal yourself after being that sick. It took her 2 years. I'm not sure how many hours per day she was concentrating on, but I mean, it comes down to how much do you value your health?
Yes.
So if you value your health highly enough, then you'll put the time and the effort into.
And if you're a skeptic and you tell yourself this isn't going to work, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
But if you
you'll
go
see it when
along,
you believe it.
yes, whether you can or whether you can't, either way you're right.
Yeah,
it's one of those scenarios.
Yeah, for sure. So it's really, really interesting. I'm always of the frame of mind of if I've got an ache or a pain or a headache or I'm tired or when something's going on, I usually think to myself, what is this pain trying to tell me?
Yes.
And if it's like a shoulder pain sort of thing, I'm like, okay, if my pain could speak, what would it say? If I had a headache, if my headache could speak, what would it say? And it would probably say, you need to drink more water, or you need to have a nap, or you need to breathe more deeply, or you need to, like if you actually sit still enough and ask it questions, your body will, I think of everything as a separate entity. I think of my business as a separate entity, my money as a separate entity, my body parts as a separate entity. So yeah, when it comes to pain, I look at it as an entity in my body and it's like, and I talk to it. So what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
What do I need to know? Yeah.
Love it. I love all of this so much. This is what lights me up, this stuff. Yes.
Right. And Louise,
and when you know what you know,
very big on the metaphysical reasons behind pain.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, very cool.
Very cool. Anyway, I have a few questions for you.
Yes. So this session we'll do a scenario if we have time, but we'll see how long we gas bag for. Because Millsy had some human design questions. And so we thought today would be really good if anyone has heard of human design, hasn't heard of human design, and if there's anything that you want to know about human design, please send it into our Gmail account. Is it milsandkez@gmail.com?
Yep, I'll link it. Yep, wherever you're seeing this, I'll link it. Yep.
Put it in the page, put it on Spotify, whatever you like. But I thought that we would do a little back and forth about human design and love to hear who's heard about it and who hasn't.
A lot of people may or may not know, but should we go with the assumption that everyone's got a slight understanding?
Well,
so that you don't have to recap the entire what it all is. And
I'll give them a little brief rundown because
you do that first. Then.
Because we've been saturated with human design because we've been mates for like yonkers. Like you know all about human design.
And I've had all the charts for all my family. You've done them all, so I've got a pretty good understanding of it. Yeah.
Yes. But for those of you who haven't heard of human design. What it is it's a combination of a few different belief systems, so ancient and current as well. So you've got the Hindu chakra system, which we're all familiar with. We've got the Kabbalah tree of life, which I wasn't familiar with, but I have looked it up, and it's all about your life path, your love path, and your career path. Kabbalah tree of life. We've got the Chinese I Ching in there as well, which is like one of the oldest oracle systems around. I think it's about 2,000 years old. We've got astrology in there as well, and we've got gene keys as well, which is a fairly new concept that's Richard Rudd's wheelhouse. So, and I've got a big thick book on gene keys as well, which is interesting. It's about like the dormant genes that are laying, like apparently like 97% of our DNA is classified as junk, and it's like, no, the universe don't make mistakes style. So like it's for something, and it's all about activating those, like a little bit Joe Dispenza as well, about activating the genes that are lying dormant. So that's it's a combination of those different belief systems. And what it does is when you put in your birth time, date and place, it gives you this beautiful blueprint of your strengths, your themes, the challenges that will come up for your life, and the gifts that you have to move through this lifestyle. So it's kind of this lifetime. So it's like the instruction manual for the meat suit that we've been given to walk this planet with. So it's kind of like we've been given this car. Some of us have got Volkswagens, some of us have got Ferraris, some of us have got Toyotas. So it's like the instruction manual for your energy that you have moving through life. And how it is useful is it will help you to understand how your energy works, and it will help you to move through life with more flow and less resistance. And it helps you to understand your decision-making process, what works best for you. So, because life basically is just decision-making. Am I going to zig or am I going to zag? And knowing how you make your most aligned decisions is going to help you not doubt yourself and know how you're meant to be moving through this lifetime, so you can get to your purpose in a more, I wouldn't say quicker way, but definitely like you will be able to do more with this lifetime that feels more aligned, as opposed to hustle and pushing shit uphill all the time.
Yeah. Well, for me, it definitely, I guess, solidified my purpose, because you know what lights you up. You know this stuff, but whether or not you actually take aligned action to go in that direction or not, or whether you go, oh no, I'm just going to stay in my 9 to 5 and do accounts all day, or no, I'm actually going to become who I've always meant to be by going on a new path. To me, that was huge for me. Yeah.
And it is stuff, as you say, it's stuff that you kind of have a sense of and innately know. But sometimes you need to be told directly, and have something sort of solid for you to back your own belief systems about.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like I kind of recognized that I was a leader, because at high school I would be the one to take the lead on all the group things that, you know, that we had to do and all that sort of thing. And at work I would be the one helping the younger staff doing all their bits and bits. So I knew I had some sort of leadership quality. I knew I was able to explain things really, really well. I knew that I was definitely worked by trial and error. I knew that I had a way of speaking in metaphors and things to help people understand. So this stuff I kind of knew about myself. But when I saw my human design and it actually says, yes, you've got this channel which helps you to explain big concepts into little bite-sized pieces for people to understand. Yeah, you've got that. Yes, you are here for experimentation because you're line 3. Yes, you do that. And it was just like, awesome. So yeah, it's all the things that you suspect about yourself. And it's like, yep, there it is. It's on paper. And this is how you use it to move yourself forward. And it's like, so it's like, I believe that we're all here to follow our passion and our highest excitement. Like everyone gets that feeling of, oh, this is exciting. Oh, this is for me. Oh, I'm really curious, because the universe is energy, and it's the only way that it has to communicate with us is through energy. So when we feel that excitement and we feel that passion, we know that that resonates with us because it is part of us and it's for us. So everyone has that, all energy types. But what human design is, especially, it's just like a little extra permission slip for us to be able to be our fullest self. And it's just like, yeah, well, I can do that because I'm a manifesting generator, or I can do that because I'm a projector. And so it just gives you that little bit of extra self-belief that, yes, this is what I'm here to do. And sometimes that's all we need, because if our beliefs aren't on board, we're not going to do anything. If we can't believe we can do it, we won't. But so It just gives you a bit more extra self-belief. And that's what I found through doing hundreds of human design readings for ladies. That's what I found they do. They're like, oh, that's how, right, yes, I'll do that now. So it kind of gives them that self-belief. And then we've got to move through the BS that holds them back still. But it gives them like a purpose, a focus, something to aim towards.
Yeah, permission.
Yes, the permission slip. I love it.
What I loved about it too is it released me from, I guess, a bit of guilt about, like, because is it a manage anything, or is it a my thing that you don't finish everything you start?
Yeah, it's a manage any thing.
That's a manage anything, right? So manifesting generator, we're saying manage any, but for those that don't know, it's manifesting generators, which is what, 30%?
About 33 to 35%.
Yeah, so about 1/3 of this earth is like Kerri and I, manifesting generator. And it was massive for me when I was basically told, you are not here to finish everything you start, because the amount of courses, the amount of books, the amount of this and that, because I I get so excited and I'll buy a book, or I'll go, oh yeah, that sounds really awesome. I'll do this course. And then maybe halfway, three quarters, maybe I go, oh, it's too much. I can't keep going. And the guilt for, oh, there's something else I haven't finished. That's another book that's piling up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you told me you are not meant to finish everything you start, it's a superpower. Like, you take what you need, and once you've got that, be on your way.
Yeah.
That was massive for me. Like, you will finish what you need to finish.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you don't.
Yeah.
That was massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what that allows us to do as well, so because there's a gift in everything, right?
Yes.
There's like, you know, you could say, oh, I'm a manifesting generator. I'm really flaky because I don't finish all the things that I start, and so I'm flaky and blah, blah. But the gift in that is that we get fired up over so many things. It's like, oh my God, this is exciting. Oh my God, I want to try this out. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to stick our fingers in a lot of pies at once, and we sample it. And so when people come to us, like the gift for us as coaches, what it allows us to do, it's like, oh, I've tried that, yeah, and I know someone who did it. I didn't finish it, but I know someone who does that. Let me get them in. Let me help you connect with them, or you'll know just enough about something to be able to teach it. So, which is a line one for you, puts you in a bit of a connection. You go, no, I've got to do a course first.
Yeah, I will never feel like I'm prepared enough, even though I'm probably, in fact, over prepared.
Exactly. But that's something, that's a gift, because that's what people will come to you for. Like, they know that you do your research. They know that you have done the programs, the courses, and you know lots about it. So people will come to you for that gift of doing your research, because you do know a lot about it, for sure.
Yeah. And I surprised myself when it's like, oh, I know more than I thought I knew, or, oh, that went better than I thought it would go, because I actually did know what I didn't think I knew.
Yeah. And it's the beautiful thing is about knowing what you are. We can preempt the limiting belief. And I do this with my coaching clients all the time. I preempt what is going to be an issue for them.
Like an objection or a self-limiting belief.
Yeah, limiting beliefs usually. Yeah. And so I can work through that, and I can say, yes, you're feeling that because you are this. And so, like, I'm always, because I'm a line 3 and I'm an experimenter, so I don't, and I've actually, this will make you laugh, I've got no line 1s in my makeup whatsoever, not a single one. So I dive headfirst into everything. I don't give a shit. I'm just like, yep, I'm having a crack. Yes, I'm having a crack. Yes, I'm having a crack.
You work it out as you go along. Yep.
Exactly. Whereas Millsy's like, I don't know. And so I'm always like, come on, Millsy, we're doing this. And she's like, okay.
All right, I trust you.
And she'll be like, I don't know enough. And I say, Millsy, you know too much. Like, let's just work. Let's just go on this.
And what's the worst that can happen, right?
Exactly. Like, someone might laugh at us. Whoop, shook. They're probably laughing at us anyway. Do we know about it?
May as well be entertaining.
Exactly. Right. If someone gets a laugh, good. At least I would rather be the man in the arena having a go with blood, sweat, snot, tears all over my face, having a crack, than being up in the stand saying, ugh, she could have done better. Yeah. Like, put me in, coach. I'm happy. So it's understanding what people are. So, like, you know, as a line 1, you probably suffer a bit more from imposter syndrome than what I would, because I don't have that line 1 quality. So I know that if I was to coach you, and we're all like, we mentor each other a lot all the time anyway. And so I'm like, Millsy, this is a line 1 thing. You just you know enough. You've got this. You've got. So recognizing that. So line 2s, you know, they may not think that they are naturally gifted at things, but they are, and they need to listen out for people saying, how did you do that? Because they're naturals. They're naturally gifted at certain things. Line 3s, they may go into perfectionism because they're here to experiment, but they will never get it right the first time. I know I never have. Very rare that I do. And so they might go into perfectionism and say, I'm not going to start it because I know I'm going to stuff it up. And it's like, so what if you do? So what if you do? At least you're having a go. You miss 100% of the shots you never take. So take a shot. So as line 3, you'd say that. Line 4s can have a fear of rejection and can be quite clingy in relationships. So that's something that might come up for them. Line 5s, they're very influential, made to be seen. So then they might have a fear of being seen because they get projections put onto them sometimes, and then they've gotten themselves into trouble, even though it's no fault of their own. So they may have a fear of putting themselves out there. So knowing what lines people are, just that bit is so easy. It makes my job as a coach so much easier because I can kind of preempt what might be an issue for them. And it's not correct all the time, but it gives me a really good guideline of where to go.
So as a coach, do you like to have this information up front with a new client?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Have you coached anyone whose human design you don't know?
Yes, of course, yeah. Because you need to have that skill as well, because there might be some people who are very against the woo-woo, for lack of a better word, who are very against it. And the thing is, as a coach, you can still recognize behavioral patterns and things when people are looping in bad behaviors or they're falling into something. And isn't it interesting? When I first started coaching, I thought, I'm never gonna pick up this stuff. I'm never gonna know. And now I can pick it up in a couple of minutes. It's like, yeah. So
can you guess? Do you like to sort of guess people and go, "Oh, I bet you're a line 3," or when you don't know, just based on their behaviour? Do you find yourself doing
really obvious? Sometimes it's really obvious. Yeah. It's like sometimes there'll be parents that say, oh, "I'm sure my child is a reflector," because they're really super sensitive. And what I found that they actually are is that they're a very open generator. So you just pick up there's certain little patterns of things when it comes to human design. But yeah, you can, I have the training of being able to pick up self-limiting beliefs and fears, which is pretty much everything that holds us back, really, to give the game away.
So if Kerri starts asking people what their date of birth is, she's trying to get in there, right?
And if there's a birth announcement, that's the first thing I do is Human Design America, putting it in. What's your grandchild? Yeah.
And so when you're nursing your patients at work, you would be able to see that information, wouldn't you?
No, not necessarily. Not birth times.
Okay.
You need
the times, of course. Times and locations. Yeah.
If I ever work on the maternity ward.
There you go.
Babies. Yeah. Babies for sure.
Okay. So what happens when someone doesn't know the time that they were born? They know the location and the date, but they don't know if it was morning or afternoon or to the second. What happens then?
Great question. So there is a YouTube link that I send them to from my human design mentor, Katie Irvine, who's got a business called Sort of Spiritual, and she runs.
I've heard her. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh cool. Yeah. So she's lovely. So she runs HD School, which I enrolled in a few years ago. So I'm a lifetime member, and I actually am a reader for her as well, which I did the first one the other week. I was like, oh wow, look at this.
Cool.
It was very cool. Anyway, had a great time. Where was I going with that? Yes, so she has got a YouTube link where she gives you a few options on how to kind of narrow it down, and it's more along the lines of looking into your astrology. So if certain things have happened to you from an astrological point of view, they can narrow down the time. You can also use a pendulum, that sort of thing, which I know you're going to be doing in the next few weeks in your program, which is very exciting. I'm looking forward to that. So there are a few ways around it, but the thing that I have found that works for me, I had a client who wanted a reading, but she was born in Sri Lanka and they didn't keep any of those sort of records. And so what we ended up doing, and it was really interesting with her as well, because she gave me her birth date, and she goes, I'm sure it was late morning, but I'm not sure what time. And at 10:59, she was a generator. At 11 o'clock, she turned into a projector.
Ooh.
So two completely different. It was like worst case scenario, really, from my perspective, because it's like, oh, we could get this.
You had to make a call, right?
And we could get really, really wrong. So what I ended up doing was I said, so this is the situation. You're either a generator or a projector. And it's like, and people say, does it make a lot of difference? And it does, because it's like a whole different set of cogs go and fall into a different space when the clock turns over. So what I ended up doing was I gave her my sheet, my rundown of the description of what it's like to be a generator, and I gave her a rundown of my sheet that I give people of what it's like to be a projector. I gave her both of them and I said, which one of those resonates with you more? And she read through both and she goes, the generator. And I said, okay, let's go with that. And so we did the first reading. She goes, yep, that all resonates with me. And so then we were able to continue on knowing that we probably got it right.
So the gates and the channels and stuff would all possibly be the same, is it more
look, it really does vary because as I say, like that minute by minute everything could kind of change. So if no one knows their birth time, I will kind of run it if they sort of say, oh, I think I was born in the morning of this time. So what I would end up doing is I'd run their chart probably about 6 times at different times just to see how much it changes because, you know, sentient beings like the moon, etc., that changes every 12 hours because that's always spinning around. But planets further out like Pluto, Neptune, they can take like 3 years to change because they're so far out. So it can take them 3 years to move through a gate. So there's a lot of sort of generational themes when it comes to those planets, when it comes to what it means for you, which is interesting as well. So so birth time, if you can nail it, brilliant, because it really, especially if you're going really deep in, the arrows around the head can change like minute by minute. So it's really important. I mean, it's either like this way or this way. So it's either going to mean one or the other. So it's not like earth shattering. If you don't know the exact minute, but if you can get it as close as possible to the minute, it helps. Because if you want to go really deep, then we need to know exactly.
And the location is just to know what time zone you're in, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you don't.
So it doesn't matter if you were born in North Adelaide or southern suburbs Adelaide. It's all to do with the time zone of what Adelaide is or South
Australia. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Now I did write down a question. What are the most common misconceptions people have? Or objections about even like knowing this stuff?
Interesting. I mean, there are obviously those who want scientific evidence and you know, because it's nothing that can be seen and like it's you're either into this sort of thing or you're not.
Yeah.
People don't necessarily come to me if they're not into this stuff because
like it does take a certain amount of faith to go along with things that you can't see.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. But there's also like the way that I like to think about, just to sort of get off that just a little bit, we are so obsessed with what we can consciously think about and wrap our heads around. Our entire body is a consciousness that we have got no thought or control over. Like our cells are dividing, our heart is beating, our lungs are breathing, and that's a consciousness that we have got no idea over. Like it's so infinitely more intelligent than what our thinking brains are. And we think just because we think it and we can wrap our heads around it, then that's what makes it real. Absolutely not. And that's where a lot of the faith and trust comes from. our authority, our decision making is like it's that infinite knowledge of our body telling us that it knows, you know, whether to move forward with something or not. So in answer to your question, what are the main things, the main objections around it is, if you're not into the woo at all, which is fine, then you're not my audience. Second objection is it can feel like you're being pigeonholed. So I often get, like generators especially, they might say, I'm multi-passionate. I've got lots of focus, because generators, they generally have one point of focus at a time, and they see that focus through to mastery. And then their gift to the world is to show us how it's done. Is that Ash? Is that my little generator in the background, or one of the kids?
It's my littlest Manny Jenny in the background.
Ah, lovely.
Getting something out the cupboard.
Excellent. So the idea of being pigeonholed, I think, is what doesn't appeal to a lot of people. Like you can certainly be a generator and have one point of focus, but as long as you know you're not going to have that one point of focus forever and ever, amen. You might, but you're probably not going to. You're going to move on to something else. And you can be a multi-passionate generator as well. And that's okay as well. What I especially find is if you've got a generator with the gate 34, because the 34 is the most multitasking gate in the human design system. So if you're a generator but you've got the gate 34, you will probably relate to being a mani-gen because you do have a lot of balls in the air. You do enjoy doing lots of things still. So that's interesting. The other objection that I come across as well is from, like, when I talk about manifestors, they've got a aura. So manifestors are 9% of the population, and they are here to get shit started. Like, they get the downloads, the creative urges, and they are meant to run with it. So they initiate things. But their aura...
Right, we both have a child manifesto, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes.
We do.
And you will
Look out.
definitely... And when you hear this as well, like, as a parent, you can relate to it because you're a little bit removed from it. But what can be triggering for some manifestors is a manifestor's aura is a bit like a tennis ball. It's quite dense and it's repelling. So it's because it's always spitting ideas out. And so it pushes into other people's auras because it's here they're here for impact. They're here to get things started. So it's dense and repelling, and it's a bit like a tennis ball. It's got a bit of give, but not a lot, and it will push into other people's auras. And I've had some manifestors go, I don't want to be repelling. I don't want to be.
Yeah.
But just know that, like, your people will resonate with you and they will come to you because they live for the downloads and the creative urges that you have. And your aura helps you because it's when you get those downloads and those urges, you just want to take that idea and run with you just want everyone to just bugger off because I'm focused, because the focus of energy is intense when it comes to manifestors when they get those downloads. So their aura works for them in the fact that it does actually keep people away because they need to channel that urge.
Right.
Because not doing the urges for manifestors is what is going to put them in their not self theme, which is anger.
Yes.
So, and things aren't going to go right for them if they don't follow through with those urges. So those would be the couple of the few big objections that I would get when it comes to human design.
Sure. Yeah, good one. So I know we've spoken about this before because my oldest, my 16-year-old, she was induced 2 weeks early. So the due date she should have had is not her birth date. And so I ran the chart because I was interested. What would she have been if she was not induced early? And she would have been obviously completely different. I think she would have been a mani-genie like me and 2 of my kids, but she's a manifestor. And I was very curious about things like, okay, just say, for instance, your birth could have been natural, but you had an emergency cesarean instead. And it was just say, for instance, 5 or 6 hours sooner than what it would have been. So that's affected your birth time, and therefore you're, like you were saying, you're a completely different sign chart. But where I'm going with this, and what I think is, we are what we're meant to be.
100%.
So she was always meant to be that, and if she wasn't induced, she wouldn't be who she's meant to be.
And it comes down to that infinite intelligence as well. Like, the universe knew when everyone was meant to be born, even like 3 months premature. The universe knows who's going to be born when, and what souls are going to be channeled through what bodies at what time. So, that it's
so the universe found a way for her to be born when exactly the moment she was meant to be born, to have the chart she was meant to have, to be the person she was meant to be.
Yeah. Or she was always going to be that. There was no, like, just because we expected her to come at a certain time, the universe goes, okay, whatever. This is what it's going to be. So everyone is meant to be born exactly when they're supposed to be born, and
everyone's birth story is exactly how it's meant to be. All the various traumas that the mothers go through to get their children born safely, and all the stories of the children that might have been premature or late even. It all was divine timing.
Yeah, it was all meant to play out exactly the way that it did.
Isn't that interesting?
It worked out that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another interesting question that I get as well is, what about twins? because twins have like the chances are there is someone who has got exactly the same birth chart as you out there, like no doubt, you know. And so and I do have twins in my family as well, and their chart is exactly the same because they're only born like a few minutes apart. So it all depends. Like the themes and the gifts and the challenges are the same, but how they play out as well can be different. Like you can be in a low expression of each gate and channel, or you can be in a high expression of it. You can transmute from the low shadow side of things up into the light highest expression of things. So how it plays out for different people is different for every individual, even though the charts might still be the same. Because that's the gifts and the talent that person's been given, but whether they nurture those gifts and talents, whether and how it plays out for them as well can be completely different. I always thought with my incarnation cross, like I'm the right angle cross of the Sphinx, which is meant to be a guide for other people, and my my conscious sun is the gate 13, the gate of the listener. And I thought, that means that I'm meant to listen to other people's stories, because the crux of that gate is you listen to other people's stories and you take the golden nuggets of their narrative and turn it into something more empowering. That's pretty much my whole deal, my jam. And I thought, so I'm meant to listen to my clients, and then I'm meant to turn their story and their mindset around into something more positive. But which has served me very well. But then what I've realized is, as I've been on this human design trip for, a good few years now, it's evolved into me listening to everyone, not just clients, and to help them. I listen to podcasts, I listen to audiobooks, I listen to YouTube, and I can pick out little bits of information of what I hear and go, I need to write that down. And guaranteed, if I've listened to something, I've had 1, 2, 3, 4. I've had 4 coaching sessions in the last 2 days. Everything that I heard a few days before I used in those coaching sessions to help turn mindsets around. So that's part of my gift as well. But that's what it's evolved into for me. But it could play out in a different way for someone else.
And that's like synchronicity too. Like you heard what you needed to hear to be able to serve better to those clients you had.
Yeah.
Love that. That's awesome.
So it means different things for different people. So what Ra has said about your incarnation cross. So your incarnation,
he's the creator, right?
That's right. Yep. So he got the knowledge downloaded to him. And if you want to blow your noodle, listen to Ra Uru Hu, the voice, and that's how we got the knowledge. It's very, very cool.
Okay.
Very weird. You have to be in the woo.
And I'll put that in the show notes too, shall I? What was it called?
So Ra Uru Hu. So RA URU is how you spell his name.
Yep.
And it's called The Voice, and it's how he got the knowledge. This voice came to him. It was such a trip.
Yeah. Cool.
So what he says about your incarnation cross, which is like your life purpose, is he goes, it's not as important to find out your incarnation cross and try to be that. He goes, the most important thing is to always, and this cuts out a lot of the bullshit around human design. All you need to do is follow your strategy and your authority, and you will evolve into your incarnation cross, because you won't be able to help it if you follow your strategy and your authority. So it's like a costume that was made for you that you eventually grow into. You don't need to try and be it.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Strategy and your authority. Yeah. So for you and I, as manifesting generators, if we follow our strategy of responding to things that we come across, and we listen to that feeling of excitement in our body, that response. So if we follow that, and if we follow our sacrals, because we're both sacral, so if we follow our gut, yes or no, and if we break decisions down into a yes or a no, and then we feel into the answer, we can't go wrong. We're going to see out our purpose.
Yeah.
If we follow that. And that's all you really need to know about human design.
Fantastic. Isn't that awesome? So back to what you were saying about twins. So I know a set of non-identical twins, very super duper different, so different. And that may be, like you said, within minutes, you can be a totally different thing. So they could be, if there was 10 minutes between their births, that might be enough to put I don't know what their charts are. I haven't asked the question.
It definitely pays to run them individually for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But also, so what you're saying with all because I know there's so many combinations of gates, channels, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I might be only really harnessing a small part of everything that's available to me. So if I just say I had an identical twin and we were born 1 minute apart and we're the exact identical charts, and I'm sure that there's a person out there with, or more than one, most likely, the identical to the minute, same chart as me.
Yep.
But I'm going to play it out this way and they're going to play it out that way because I'm using my environment, the nurturing that's come to me. I'm going to play it out this way. And they're in a totally different country halfway around the world, and they might be a male and whatever.
Yep.
And they're going to play it out that way, but we're identical in every other way, but we're incredibly different people.
Yeah, you've done, 100%. You've nailed it. Yeah. Play out complete, because it's all about environment, perception. Like, it takes me back to that story of, twin boys. This is not a human design story, but twin boys who had a father who was very wealthy, who was a very wealthy businessman, and one of the twins turned out to be a very wealthy businessman as well. The other one turned into a alcoholic who, was addicted to drugs. And when they were asked, what made you how you are, both of them had the same answer: my father. So it all comes down, it all comes down to perception. It all comes down to how you experience something. And everyone is different. You could have 30 people in the room, the one event happened, and you've got 30 different interpretations of what happened.
Right.
So, it all comes down to different perceptions of things.
So interesting, isn't it?
It really is.
What are the chances of meeting someone identical to you chart-wise? I mean, I guess when you've got two babies born at the same time in the hospital.
They would have the same. Yeah. So
they would have the same.
If they ever met, they would have the same chart. So that's interesting. It would be interesting to see, if you did like a classroom, like a school classroom running all the kids' human designs, you would probably find that's actually really interesting, because there would definitely be similar themes, especially like from a year to year. As I said, like the planets like Pluto, Neptune, those sort of planets that are a lot further out, they stay in that one gate for a lot longer. Like Pluto's like 2.5 years in the one gate, because it's so far out, takes so slow to move. Right. So that would be interesting from a teacher's perspective to run all of their kids' charts and see what are the similar themes there. So say, for example, you did a classroom and their Pluto was in gate 19, chances are that all of them would have the gate 19 defined. The gate 19 is the gate of sensitivity, which means that you are going to have a classroom full of sensitive Sallys, which is not a bad thing, but it would actually help you to know, because then you could actually nurture that a little bit more. You would curb how you get their attention and how you discipline them, for lack of a better word, because you know that people with the gate 19, they need a gentle touch, like they are sensitive. So knowing that would actually help to guide. That's really interesting. Good point, Millsy. Well done.
Yeah. All right. So where would you like to see human design go? Like, would you like it to become more mainstream so that educators would know how to bring out the best in their students, or like for partners to know what they're marrying so that they know which buttons to maybe not push? You know what I mean? Like, how can we bring this to help daily life, do you think?
Well, I think what we learn in coaching, like human nature, how that works, I think that should be taught to parents before they have children. I think it should be taught to
emotional intelligence.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. So all of that stuff should be taught in primary school to parents before they have children, all that. Yeah. I think that human design is definitely the cherry on the top. I definitely think that human design will help parents to nurture the gifts and the talents within each individual child. But it all comes down to belief as well. Like if the parents don't believe it, then they're not going to be on board with it. But like, I mean, you would know just through knowing the charts of your children, like what their profile lines are, so what their gifts are, what to nurture. So for myself, yeah, I'd love to see it more in kids and parenting groups, just as an option. I reckon that's really important. But I think coaching in general should be taught across the board. Like no negotiations, everyone needs to know that stuff. But even just with my two kids, like knowing that Lila, who is now 17, is a generator. She is a 3-6 profile, as is my son. So there's going to be a shit ton of experimentation going down. They're going to.
So they're both 3-6s.
Both 3-6s.
But you've got one Manny and one Jenny.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Right.
So, but it's going to be a lot of experimentation, and it's going to get them a while to be that role model kind of with the line 6. So that's going to be a process. And then I know that there's going to be a phase in their life when it comes to their late 20s up to their 50s that they're going to be trying to figure things out. It could show up as depression if they're not aware of what they're going through. So knowing that is going to help me as a parent be able to sit in the weeds with them in those processes as well. Knowing that my daughter, and they're both emotional as well, so knowing that they both need time to make decisions. So don't go, so we're going to do this. Are you coming? Are you coming? Like you can't, you got to let them ride out the wave. So not pressuring them into fast decisions is a way that I help them to be able to tune into their inner compass.
Yeah.
Knowing that my daughter is a triple split definition, which means that she has got 3 lots of circuitry to move information through before she feels like she's got all the information. So knowing that she needs that extra little bit more time to process things before she knows what she's saying yes to as well. So for example, today I said, I'm thinking about going to the beach house tomorrow. And she's like, I don't want to go. And I said, well, I actually say to her, write out your emotional wave and let me know in the morning if you want to come with me or not. So yeah, I know not to put pressure on her now. So just all of these things, knowing that Lila needs things to respond to because she's a generator. So saying, hey, do you want to do this? Hey, what do you think about kickboxing? Hey, do you want to do ballet? Hey, like give her things to respond to for her to go yes or no to. Whereas Ashton, I know just to leave him alone because he's a manifester. He is in his own world. And to not take it personally, because we've got the autism component as well, to not take it personally when he's like, go away, because it's like he's still in his process. Yeah. So you just need to just not take it personally and just go, yep, he's in his process. And he doesn't have that people-pleasing filter in him at all. So he will just tell you to bugger off because he's not ready. So, yeah.
Yeah. Just funny, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ash and I are both sacral, whereas all 3 of my kids are emotional. Yeah. So I've had to explain to him because he's seen his chart, but he's not that. He doesn't think he doesn't delve into it the way I have. So I'm like, we need to not expect the same response time in our kids as what we do.
Yeah.
And so I always say to them, like I give them plenty of notice and say things like, okay, I'm going to go to the shopping centre at 3:00. You let me know in a couple of hours if you want to come with me or what, that kind of thing. Yeah, or
perfect.
I give them plenty of questioning time. Like, do you want to enroll yourself in netball again next season? I'll need to know this time next week if you're in or you're out. Like, letting them have that time rather than I need to know an answer right now.
Yeah.
Because my sacral would tell me fairly soon if I'm in or out with something.
Yeah.
Although I do get a lot of FOMO, so I tend to say yes, even then go. Actually, now that I thought about it, it's a no.
Yeah.
So that might be another part of my makeup.
Oh, absolutely. It can take anything from 3 to 7 years to fully be comfortable with living your design. So, yeah, so we're going to stuff it up. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of my next questions. I don't know how we're going for time. How do we tell how long we've been going for?
Well, according to me, we've been going for an hour and 27 minutes, but we're gas bagging a little bit beforehand as well.
All right. One more question then, and we might need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
But, what was I going to say? So what is the ideal time? Like we said, I know my children's charts, and I know there's a whole lot in there that they have not become yet. And I hope to be able to nurture them to be able to step into their highest and best selves. But at what point during the journey of your life do you get to really feel that you are living your chart? Does that make sense? Like, when are you, or does it happen over a long span?
Look, how long's a piece of string, and is the journey's never over, is it? Like, because it's never about the destination, because we all know where the destination is.
Yeah.
But it's all about the journey. And as I say, as long as you are, it's good to, if you're into it, to recognize your gates, recognize the low expression of them when you're not your best and highest self, and the darker side of what it can bring out in you, and moving yourself through that and up to the high expression of that gate is good to do. But really and truly, as I said before, it all comes down to strategy and authority. If you are following your strategy if you are a manifester, to initiate those ideas and those downloads, and there's more to it than that, but we won't go into it. But like, if you are telling people what you're doing as a manifester, if you, as a generator type, so generator, manifesting generator, if you are responding to the things that are crossing your path, if as a projector you are doing what you want to do, where your curiosity takes you, talk about it, and then waiting for the invitations to come. If as a reflector you're waiting a full lunar cycle before you move forward on things, if you follow that and your authority, how you're making decisions, so sacral, emotional, splenic, whatever it might be, as long as you are making decisions the way that you are aligned to make decisions, and you're using your energy the way that it's supposed to be used, you will not go wrong.
Amazing. And so the people that haven't had their charts done, this is something that they can just pop in for free and get to know the basics from, is it Human Design America? Is that right?
Yeah, so Human Design America is just the one that I talk about, because it's the easiest, and it's got all the information on one screenshot. You can just screenshot it. And you can also use, like, Body Matrix is another one, which I think is what Ra started. So there's Body Matrix, there's there's lots of sites around. You just Google it and there'll be lots of things pop up, and the charts are always free. You don't have to sign up to anything to find out what you are, if that's what's holding people back.
So you can find out your energy type, you can find out your your incarnation cross, and your your themes. You can find all that out for free.
Absolutely, but the thing is, it's kind of like, you get all the information, like on your chart. You've got it, it's all there. It's
a lot.
It's about knowing how to interpret it, though. And it's about knowing all the little nuances within a chart as well that make it individual. So it's hard to explain without going on for another 3 hours, but there's so many different nuances in a chart as well. So depending on how much circuitry you've got, so if you had a lot of, like, equal parts tribal and individual circuitry is very creative, very wild and wacky, very, think of a hippie on the hill, kind of like, ooh, I'm doing my own thing. And then you've got tribal energy, which is like conformity, tradition, like it's like behave yourself. You must conform, because it's all about belonging within a tribe.
I don't want to get kicked out.
For safety's sake. And and if you stand out as an individual, no, you're out. You're going to stand out and you're going to draw attention to us, get out, kind of thing. So if you've got equal parts of that circuitry in you, individual and tribal, there's going to be a part of you that wants to be your weird, wild, wacky individual self, but there's this other part of you that's going to go, don't stand out.
Don't get kicked out of the tribe.
So, like, knowing that, it's like,
oh my God,
always got this pull, and it's like, it could be because you've got equal parts of those two lots of circuitry within you. So, like, there's heaps of little nuances that just looking at a chart may not give you, unless you know what you're doing, what you're doing.
So there's definitely certain things you can find out for free very easily, but to like what you were saying, your special skill is taking information and breaking it down into bite-sized pieces to make it understandable. So highly recommend you, obviously, translating the chart. So you've got levels 1, 2, and 3 with how deep you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So the level 1 is the basics. So it's understanding the energy type, so you know where you kind of fit into the cosmic plan of things. And then, understanding your energy, your strategy, your authority, and your profile line. So that's the level 1 reading. The level 2 reading is you've got 9 energy centers in human design. Some you've got consistent access to, and they will show up as colored in. And that is what you're what you're transmuting out into your aura. And then you've got open or undefined centers, which are not colored in. And what happens with those is that you take them in and you amplify it. So that's going to mean it depends on what centers you've got defined or undefined as to how that energy is going to show up for you. So it's about understanding how to use the energy that you have and how to use your open centers as well, because there's lots of conditioning because you're taking on the energy of the people and the places that you're around.
Like, is that really my belief, or have I amplified someone else's belief?
And so, and how to use it in a way. There's no limitations in human design. I want to make that really clear. It's like, oh, I've got an undefined throat, so I'm not made to speak. No. It's not a limitation. It's a gift, but you need to know how to use it. So level 2 reading is going through all of the centers. What have you got defined and undefined, and how that will play out for you. And then the level 3 is the big kahuna. It's the incarnation cross, the gates, the channels, the arrows, all of it. So that's
where your mind gets completely blown.
Yes. And that like because I give a PDF for you to print out as well with each of the readings, and that can be up to, like, I think I've printed up, the biggest one I've printed out is like 52 pages. Oof. Because this chick, Veronica, oh my God, Ronnie, I love her, but she had every single center defined, which means that she's got a shit ton of channels. So most people would normally have anything from 3 to 5 channels. She had 11.
Wow.
Okay. That's a lot of information. So and she is a big energy. Like like when she walks into a room, you know she's walked into a room.
Okay.
So because she's got all this energy, like boop, 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 transmuting out into her.
She's like a beacon walking around.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've only come across 2 charts that have had every single center defined.
Awesome.
So it's very interesting. But that's the different levels that I do. And then obviously when I coach people, I've always got their chart up, because if something comes up, just say, well, you've got that because you do have this. But remember, with this, you can do that as well. So it helps to just highlight things for me as well, to be able to coach you through them.
Excellent. I can see we're going to need a part 2 on this, because as you've been going, I've been thinking of lots more questions, but we've probably reached the end of our time now. I'm going to guess we've been going for about an hour.
Yes.
What else do you want to say?
Oh, so my Soul Ignite Energetic Ask Hickory program started today, which is very exciting. So I have done this program under various different names. I've called it the 2023 Year of Me, and then I called it something else, the Mid-Year Manifesto, when I did it midway through one year. So it's the same program, but with different names, and I've rebranded it just because I'm a manager and, I thrive on hype. But this program, I did run it live over 4 sessions, and they were like 2-hour-long sessions at a time, which was probably a bit of a tough ask. So what I've done now is I've broken it down into 12 different pre-recorded video modules, so people can do it at their own pace. So that has started up today. It is been done. I've just let the 45 participants, like, I've invited them into it. So that's exciting for them to be able to, because once you buy one of my programs, you get lifetime access to it. So, and if I upgrade the program, you get the upgrade as well. So that's what they've done. They've upgraded into the new pre-recorded. And so, I've just have to record like another 2 or 3 meditations and activations I wanted to put in there as well. But other than that, it's all done. So, if you want in on that program, please let me know, and I can send you the information, because it is freaking gangbusters. It will get you started on even if you don't know what your vision is for your life, we find it.
And does that include HD readings?
Yes, it includes a 2-hour-long one-on-one human design reading. Plus, I did it for today, which I'm not sure if anyone's going to hear it today or not, but because it was released, for today only, I included 3 one-on-one sessions as well. So that's an extra
Ooh.
$600 bonus
Woohoo.
on top of that, because I charge $200 an hour. So, but that's for today only. So anyway, I Facebooked it, so we'll see if anyone picks me up on that.
Great.
And how
Wonderful.
about you, Miss Amelia Dart? What have you got going on?
Yes. Well, I am just prepping up session number 2 for because I've got my 4-week program that I did the first one last Thursday night.
Awesome.
And yeah, very exciting. Lots of growth within myself by doing that. So
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. And so
Yes.
it's not too late to join either.
No, not at all.
those.
So I'll be putting a reminder up. If
Replays.
anyone, never too late, because again, we've got the replays. And although it's slightly interactive, if all you got was the replays, you'd still get a lot out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I'll put links for how people get on board all that.
Excellent. Brilliant. Well, pleasure.
That was a great chat. Well done.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I could talk about this.
We return to we'll see how we go. We can return to a scenario next week. Maybe we'll do a part 2 to this. In
sounds
weeks.
fun. Yeah, if this whets anyone's appetite as well, I do just do human design readings without the coaching if you would like that as well. So just hit me up in my DMs or email the show, either or.
Yeah.
We're always here. Excellent.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.